Hey folks, I'm Rob.
And I'm Nathan.
And we are
Two Guys in a Ride.
Say, Nate, where are we at today? There should be like a sign or something.
Yeah, there should be a sign somewhere. Hey, we are at the SCCA Jack Pine Sprints at the Brainerd International Raceway in Brainerd, Minnesota.
That's right, and we're going to bring you some race footage, but more importantly, we're going to talk to some of the drivers and get their perspective and find out why they like racing and what has gotten them into this. So before we do that, Nathan,
click on the subscribe button down below and ring that bell notification so you never miss a video.
That's right. So what do you say, Nate?
Oh, let's go to the races. Hi folks, I'm Nathan with Two Guys in a Ride, and today we're out here in Brainerd, Minnesota at the SCCA races at the Brainerd International Raceway, and we are here with Gordon. And Gordon, you're racing in the spec class?
Yeah, the Spec Miata class. Yep.
All right, and so before we talk about your car, let's talk about how you got into racing.
I'm kind of a strange one. I got into racing because I really got into cars when I was in college. I'm an engineer, mechanical engineer, and so I really got into like building cars and working on things like that. And then as soon as I had some money after I graduated and got a big boy job, I bought a fast car and promptly started watching YouTube videos about driving cars fast and realized that instead of spending money on making my car faster, what I should do is learn how to drive it better. And so I started doing autocross, I started doing track days, and eventually just worked my way up to here. And now I'm doing the wheel-to-wheel thing and loving it.
So when you first got into the racing part, did you go to like one of those like a couple days course where you get your license then?
Yep. Up here there's a 3-day course to get your license, and I took that. I actually rented a car at the time because I didn't have a road racing car, so it was pretty easy at that point to get involved.
And if you're interested in that, folks, again, check out our other videos. We have one on the rentals and how you can get into it doing that. So when you were young, so you really didn't have an interest in cars until you were in college.
Yeah, until I really started to really get interested in machines and how machines worked. That was kind of what did it for me. So yeah.
And this is a little bit of a family affair. You have your whole family here.
Yeah. My family comes up. They help me work on the car and turn it around, and it's great to have some fans. Yeah. And so yeah.
And we'll get the chance to meet them in a little bit.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your car. So I mean, it's a Mazda.
Yeah, it's a Miata. It's the first generation NA Miata. There's basically 4 different kinds of Miatas that you can race in Spec Miata. There's 2 NAs, the 1.6 and the 1.8, and then there's the 2 NB generation ones, the VVT and the non-VVTs. So these are the more common, more cheap 1.6 cars. They're sometimes not considered as competitive, but I think that really depends on the driver and the course and things like that. Like up here, we're doing awesome with it. 1.6s can pull with the best of them up here. So.
Was it a stock car when you bought it?
No, this I bought from a guy who's been racing it out in Oregon. This car is actually Spec Miata can go back, dates itself back to maybe about the year 2000 or 2001, and this car was converted into a race car in 2002. Okay. So it has been racing for longer than I have been able to drive. And so it's been around for a long time, and I've been in contact with the previous owner, and we talk about it, and he still races out in Portland area, and so I think we're all just kind of happy to have this.
Still racing?
Yeah, this car is still racing. Nobody's cracked it up too badly, and it's still It's still at the front too.
So what are you running for a motor?
So in Spec Miata, we have some really strict rules about motors. There are only a few things you can do to the motor, but because they made 1 million of these engines, right? Because they made 1 million of these cars. There's a huge tolerance. There's really wide tolerances, and so what they kind of let you do is kind of make the best motor that Mazda could have made stock.
Okay.
Just to save you the effort of going to find all the best, and that gives an advantage to the people who have a flow bench or whatever, right?
So it has to be something that Mazda would have made.
Yeah,
so
it has to.
For instance, put a twin turbo on it.
Yeah, no, it's arguably a stock motor.
Right.
It makes a bit more horsepower because of all these things, but I used to run a stock motor, frankly, and it's still sitting in my garage. But so the engine modifications are very, very few to keep them reliable, to keep them cheap, and that's the name of the game with Spec Miata, is to keep it cheap.
So about how much horsepower are you running?
On a good day, I think I make maybe 116, 117 on at the wheels.
Okay, and how many foot-pounds of torque?
Oh. Not that many. maybe 105, something like that. Maybe 100.
Exterior, fairly stock, plus motor, and you get small adjustments there.
Yep.
What about the interior? What do you do to get rid of weight?
So basically we're allowed to strip the interior for weight, and also you don't want any interior stuff in your car in case there was like a fire or something. All that plastic was going to burn, right? So we strip the interior completely. That also helps with the weight, although we do have to put in a roll cage, right? So that doesn't help with the weight. And actually, so we have a minimum weight, right? Like all racing, 2275 is the 1.6's minimum weight, and I actually have to have some ballast on the floor to make that weight.
To put that in
there.
Not us.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the things that are actually on the inside of your car. Now, you have got, I would imagine, a fire suppression system.
Yep, there's a fire. Yep.
And that's, we see the fire extinguisher, but it's actually a pull lever that you just.
I don't have a fire suppression system. I just have that.
You just have that.
Yep, just have that. Yep.
So that's allowable in the race. You can have different configurations for that fire suppression system.
Yep.
What about in the engine compartment? That's the same thing. You got to run around and put it out with that.
Yeah. Okay. You would have to.
Okay. Because we've seen some with secondary systems.
It's a very common thing. It's honestly something I want to get done, but it's
all in good time.
Right. And I'd rather buy another set of tires. So.
Well, and this is the nice thing, for people who think about maybe getting into racing, where you've seen some of the cars that people have really done some of those things, and those are extra expenses.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't have to do all those things. You just have to have a way to suppress fire.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, your fuel cell, I think on the Miatas, the batteries are in the back.
Batteries in the back here. The fuel tank is right here, and underneath the under tray, or I think they call that the under tray. Yeah.
And then you have got. Do you have a cooling system that you use?
I don't have that even either. Actually, I'm running without a cool suit. Yep.
Do you have a vest or something that you wear that helps to keep it cool? Or you just kind of put up with it?
I have that new suit that Sparco has been making that is a lot more breathable. I forget what the brand name is, but it's a lot more breathable than a traditional suit. So I've been able to survive with that, and I try to keep the that's another thing to maintain. That's another thing that in between every session I got to think about. I got to reload. I got to whatever. I'm really focused on the driving because that's what separates you here. And so trying to remove or not have those kind of extra thought things. It just helps me.
Okay, so. And then and just again looking at the interior here, I mean, this is. You have a lot of the stock parts left on the dashboard. I mean, you even still have the air conditioning controls left in there.
Yeah, I think we have to run the stock dash. I don't think we have to run those HVAC controls, but what else would we do?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any sort of a camera system on the car that records?
Yep, yeah, I've got a GoPro system there that records out the front, and if I get everything adjusted right, which maybe only happens 3/4 of the time, you can actually see through the rear view mirror with that setup too, so you basically have a 360 view of what's happening, because those giant road racing mirrors, from the driver's seat I can see out the passenger window using my rear view mirror, right? So that's how much visibility we have, and you have to have it in order to race.
When you're strapped in there with your helmet and everything, and I mean, you don't have a lot of movement. I mean, you're strapped in extremely tight.
Yeah. Even our head is restricted because of the Hans device.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't move a lot, which means there's a lot of mirrors, so that we can
close
see.
your door properly before you get in. You might need some help getting your door closed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It's pretty hard to get in without any help at all. Get the window net up and all that jazz.
These have a removable hardtop.
Yep.
So you're actually required, I think, to have the top on. Is that right?
I think
in this particular
it's
class?
so common in Spec Miata, it might as well be a rule. It turns out it helps you on drag. And these cars, they're not very powerful, so minimizing that drag for that straightaway speed is more important than anything else. So
when you're not actually at a racing, how do you get your practice in? I mean, what do you do? Where do you go to practice?
I come up here to practice sometimes, but I also run at a local course in the Twin Cities called DCTC.
Okay.
And I actually run track days there for Impulse Performance. You've seen them on the car.
Yeah.
Big shout out to them. They absolutely help me out. I run their track days for them, basically, and they help me out with some labor and alignments and that sort of stuff.
Right, which is a very common practice in racing. You see the different brands on different vehicles, and in exchange for racing for them a little bit, you get some help.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody's paying me to race,
No.
but making good relationships with local companies here for parts. Miata Source is another one, Impulse, and then Straight Design. Yeah, they all help me out.
This is one of the things that we were talking about earlier when we were talking about the rentals. When people want to get into racing, that yes, it costs money. Every sport you want to get into will cost some money, but you can do it slowly. I mean, and you can do it piecemeal, and you can get other companies, if you're good enough, to help sponsor you.
Yep.
You can see in the background a little bit here some of the huge RVs that are pulled in with the mile-long trailers, and those people may have a little bit more money to deal with, but you don't need that.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Yeah.
Let's talk for a minute about sort of the racing family.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have your physical family that's here.
Yeah.
But that family is bigger than that. At least that's what we commonly find with anyone who is into cars. Whether it's just a classic car or an F-Type Jaguar Club or whatever. But you have that community of people. Is that your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Racing, right? We all want to win. Yes, that's a thing. But, we also have to have somebody to race against.
Right.
And that means that, we have to build a community of people who want to show up and want to race every weekend. And that means that they got to be treated fairly. And that means that, there can't be any bad blood. And we also have a shared experience that really unites us when we go out drinking and stuff like that. Like, we all kind of stick together, especially this Minnesota Spec Miata group is awesome. We've been trying to get together even outside of the track and stuff like that.
Just to do stuff together.
Just to do stuff together, because we all love driving. That's what unites a Spec Miata grid is, we aren't here to work on our cars. We aren't here to build a faster car than the other guy. We aren't here to be more clever than the other guy. We're here to drive our cars. And that's what we love. And so, that is a unique bond that we all have, and it builds a really sweet community.
That's awesome. Do you do most of the work on your own?
Yeah, I do all the work. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Does your family help out with the work on it?
Sometimes Cassie does, my partner, and then Impulse will do things like alignments and corner balance and stuff like that. But
for some things you need outside help.
Yeah. Otherwise, I put the motor in myself. I've run all the running gear myself. I've had it all off. I've put it all back in. Okay.
Do you do anything with the bearings on the wheels? Are they sensitive or?
Yeah, Miatas are notorious, especially in the front, for having weak wheel bearings, and when we're racing, they're hurt pretty hard. So, you have to repack the bearings and stuff like that. It only takes 20 minutes once you get used
to doing it.
Yeah, once you've done it a few times. I mean, Miatas are amazing like that in general, right? Like, they're very simple cars. There's nothing really high tech in these things, and so you can. And they're so common that you can just Google anything that you need
and find it.
And there'll be a guy who's like detailing exactly what grease he's using, exactly how he did it, and you can just, so it makes it very easy to actually maintain these things and build them and stuff.
So Gordon, explain to us who's exactly here, because I know this is your parents.
Yeah, these are my parents. Yeah.
Okay, and then who else do we have?
This is my partner, Cassie, and this is a mutual friend of ours, Steph. Yeah.
All right. So why don't you hand the mic to your mom first? So as a mom, do you worry about your son?
Yes.
Yes. Why did I think that was going to be the answer? But somehow you're able to deal with it. Not only that, but you're here supporting him.
Absolutely. Gordon does his homework, so I know that he is a safe racer and a responsible racer, and so I know he's doing his utmost to control those scary variables for a mom.
When you first found out that he was going to get into racing, what was your first thought?
Well, he had been doing autocrossing for a number of years, but you're alone on the course during that activity. So what concerned me was, of course, the traffic and the other drivers.
Right.
But he came up here to the class, and the community is a outstanding community of folks, and everyone just wants to be safe and have fun.
So what were some of your reactions when you found out he was going to race?
So we had gotten introduced to the autocross thing with him before, and actually we drive autocross ourselves.
Okay.
So we have gotten at least a little bit involved in that. But when he started talking about doing wheel to wheel, we both went, "Are you going to be out on the track with other cars?" Yeah, and so there was a little bit of worry. But he, like his mom said, he's a safe guy, and he does his homework and figures out exactly what to do. And you want to tell him the story about the fire suit thing?
Whoa, let's hear this.
Gordon had been autocrossing for a number of years, and then wanted to transition to this type of racing. And we voiced our concerns to him, and he said, "Well, Mom, I'll be this safety feature and that safety feature, and I'll be wearing a racing suit." And I said, "Well, honey, moms aren't stupid. We know that racing suits are fire suits. So let's call them what they are."
And so he said, "Never, ever tell your mother that the sport you want to be involved in requires a fire suit."
Well, I mean, kudos to both of you. Obviously, you've had some racing experience yourselves, but to come out and be supportive of him in that endeavor, and to make it a family affair. So I mean, it's very much like you're going to the cabin for the weekend. Except for you happen to be at a race ground.
Yep, we love it. We love to change his tires and check all the fluids and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty fun.
That's just awesome. So Cassie, you might have a little bit more concern. I mean, probably as much concern as Mom does, but. What are your thoughts when you watch him go down the track? Because you're watching him race.
Oh, yeah.
And he spins.
Oh, I wonder, what did you do?
Okay,
that's the first one, no.
That's the reaction I was expecting. Sorry, Gordon, we'll try that one again. Cassie, what you're supposed to say is...
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay.
He knows what he's doing out there, and so I wonder what went wrong. But I always know he's going to be back there getting back up. He's got a real talent for when something happens, when something goes wrong. He doesn't let it shake him, and he puts them down those fast laps to get back up and race with the people he wants to race with. So I have absolute confidence he'll get back where he needs to be.
You picked well, Gordon. I'll tell you what. So now, do you help out with the car at all mechanically?
Yeah. I help change the tires, and we talk through which tires are going to go when and what heat cycles, and whether he needs butt time in the seat out on the track to practice, or whether he needs to save the tires, and kind of go through all those things. He does most of the work on the car himself, but yeah, I help out.
So, Mom, Dad, you were in with you were autocross racers already. When did your interest in cars start?
No, high school I took shop class with the guys.
Okay. All right. And then
I would play poker with them and take all their money.
Okay.
I mean, it's just dollar bills, but
I don't.
So this came at a fairly early age. So I mean, this doing this kind of thing is something you enjoy.
Yeah, this is really great.
This
I know
isn't just
we've
like,
gone out.
I'm supporting him because he's here, and I sort of have to be.
No, it's super fun. It's really fun, and we've gone and I've gone and done autocross as well, and I'm not nearly as good, but that's mostly because butt in seat time, and but it's really, really fun, and it's super
how
exciting.
long will it be until we have two Mazda Miatas out here? That's maybe the question.
That is a real question.
It is a real question.
All right, so Stephanie, you are a friend of the family's. When did you get interested in cars?
When I met Gordon and Cassie. Like, I like cars. I just don't know much about them.
Okay.
You know? I know if the check engine light goes on, that's bad.
Yeah. But you have, but it's obviously enough of an interest for you to spend an entire weekend helping
Yeah.
out with the family and the racing thing. So
It's fun, yeah. Yeah, Gordon's been teaching me how to drive stick, and I like listening to him talk about the racing, and I'm learning a lot. It's fun to hear him explain things. He's a good teacher, and it's exciting to get out here and see it in action.
So we had some difficulty with this car. Was that last year? I think it was last summer. And he and my brother was here, and we were ripping the engine apart, but trying to get it put back together again before we could race that afternoon. And so it was a really cool family thing. We're all in there ripping things apart and putting things back together again. It was pretty fun.
that's awesome. What a great family bonding time.
Yeah, it was. And with the brother and all that stuff, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. One favorite memories of his racing?
I can't come up with a specific one. Every weekend we come up here is kind of the new favorite.
norm, yeah.
The new favorite memory.
Nice.
It's really fun.
So Cassie, what's one of your favorite memories of this whole racing?
Yeah, so one of my favorite memories is just last time we were up here for the Judd Copeland weekend. During qualifying, Gordon set fastest track time. He broke the record. It's not on the official because it wasn't during a race, but he beat the fastest track time, and I was up on the top of the tower, and I was like running down the tower like, oh my God, you beat the time! It was really exciting.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, and finally, Gordon. What's one of your favorite memories?
Well, now you got me on the spot with all these people here. My favorite is to spend time with everybody that I love and care about here, and race my car. So.
And what an awesome thing. Huh?
Yeah, it's a wonderful
to be able to do
thing.
something you love and have the people you love with you.
Absolutely.
Well, Gordon and family, thank you so much for spending your time with us today, sharing your car and your story with us.
Thanks.
Awesome.